started here this evening, that's because you have the convergence of those two factors that we need to get the severe weather started. You need the moisture, you need the instability. That's some of the storm energy that's moving up into this area, and then the trigger, which is the cold front moving into that environment. Once that happens, not just storms developing, it's storms that quickly become strong, perhaps severe, and then trigger some of those severe weather threats that we're concerned about. First, the large hail, eventually damaging wind gusts and tornadoes into the mix as well. The wind shear promotes supercells. That bumps up the tornado threat into the overnight hours tonight. It also, Kiana, brings the threat of those very healthy, sustained updrafts, which generate large hailstones. We've got the threat of those up over 2 inches in diameter.
That's right, and we'll see that in big metroplex areas, really throughout northern Texas, pushing into southern Oklahoma as these storms start to pop off later tonight. Looking at the time frame, 9 o'clock tonight, that's going to be an evening event that we have to watch for. So for areas like Dallas, pushing throughout areas like Paris, Texas, into southern Oklahoma, you do want to watch for that going through the late evening. By the time the overnight hours roll around, we are looking at more setups for these discrete cells ahead of that cold front. Greenville up into Memphis, out towards Poplar Bluff. These are going to be the areas that we start to see those supercells pop up. Very discrete, but nonetheless very powerful through the overnight hours. There's a lot of energy that they'll be tapping into, and that rotation is also a possibility as well. When we look at the wind shear, we're looking about 10,000 feet into the atmosphere coming in out of the southwest. We also see down towards the surface coming in at a bit slower pace and coming in out of the southeast, causing for that crosswind to be possible and the threat of tornadoes to also be possible there as well. We're looking at the threat of some pretty strong tornadoes, EF-2 or greater in this area that is hatched. Ian talked about the hatched zone for hail. This is the hatched zone for tornadoes, so a little farther east of that for areas like Memphis, Clarksdale, down towards Greenville, as we head into tonight and through the overnight. And Ian, that's going to be the time frame where really we do have to watch and listen to all of our officials, whether it be local or us here at Fox Weather, because this is a nocturnal event, and these are some pretty strong, also classified as violent tornadoes that we're looking at. Yeah, we've seen some of those numbers for the tornado reports, already more than 100 over the average to date. But it's not just that we see tornado potential, it's that, the tornadoes of an intensity and duration of what you were just describing.
I'm Amy Freeze. Welcome to Fox Weather's YouTube page. We have more great videos on the way, so make sure to subscribe to stay updated on all things weather.